Welcome to 30 Days on Mount Desert Island. I'm Todd Dunn. It's December 20th, 2018, and I am in Bar Harbor. In fact, I'm on the village green, and behind me you can see some of the buildings on Main Street, which goes right down to the water. Bar Harbor is the largest town on Mount Desert Island in terms of population, with about half the population of the island living here. That's about 4,500 to 5,000 people. Most of the people that work here work at the Mount Desert Island Hospital, which is one of the major employers, or at the Jackson Lab, which is just south of town along the water. And of course then there are school teachers and municipal workers and people working in various businesses. The bulk of the employment here, though, in the summer anyway, caters to tourism. Right now, although there's quite a bit of traffic that you can hear, Bar Harbor is not very busy. In the summer, the town of Bar Harbor sees somewhere around 4 million tourists, largely between late June and the end of September. It's particularly noticeable in September because that's when the cruise ships come here every day, and sometimes they will put 4,000 or 5,000 people ashore for an afternoon in Bar Harbor. Fortunately, the town has lots of restaurants and more souvenir shops than you can stake a stick at. So there's lots to do here if you're a tourist. It is also the gateway to Acadia National Park, which the town is pretty much surrounded by. It's very easy to get into the national park from here. Anyway, let's take a look at Bar Harbor. Okay, we've just gotten to the edge of the main part of the town, and we pass one of the island's 3 stoplights, which for the winter they've turned it into just a flashing yellow light. In the summer it's a regular stoplight, but there really isn't enough traffic now to warrant it. And we are now in the main part of Bar Harbor, and most of the houses here, the big houses like this one, are now bed and breakfasts. And most of the houses in town, or at least in this part of town, in the summer are bed and breakfasts. And there are a number of motels that will pass. And we're at now, and as we drive down this way, we're going to come to Main Street in about a block and a half, and then we will be in downtown Bar Harbor. Now I'm walking through a residential neighborhood. There's Frenchman Bay at the end of this street. This is only a block or so from downtown, but you can see the scale of the homes here. Some of these homes are private homes and some are inns. And right now, all of the inns are closed for the winter. Here we are at Main Street in Bar Harbor. This is the village green, which is more or less at the shore side of downtown. If we look inland, we'll see that the businesses continue for about 2 blocks, and then you're pretty much into residential properties. There's a big hotel down there, and also the Mount Desert Island Hospital is about 3 blocks away down there. This street across there is the street that you come into Bar Harbor on when you come into town from pretty much any place. And you get right here to Main Street, and you can turn to go into the residential part, or you can turn left and go into downtown. Downtown Bar Harbor is a mix of restaurants, a few pubs, and basically souvenir shops. This time of year, pretty much everything is closed. are very few businesses that are open in Bar Harbor in December. There's still quite a bit of traffic, but it simply is no comparison to what it looks like in the summer. I've walked about a block toward the waterfront from the Village Green now to give you a better feel for what downtown Bar Harbor looks like. This is Main Street, and you can see all the shops along there, and I think I noticed one that was open on that side. There's a bank, they're open, and there's another bank, and the rest is a mix of restaurants, galleries, and souvenir shops. And there is a bookstore down here too, which is open all year. So this is downtown Bar Harbor. The bulk of the business here in Bar Harbor is on this street, and the business district is 4.5 blocks long. And if you look in the distance there, you can see the water, so you can see there's only about a little over a block more to go. 1 block from the waterfront, we come to Cottage Street, which is perpendicular to Main Street. For the first block and a half, the mix of businesses is the same as on Main Street, with the addition of the town's only theater. Beyond that, for about the next 3.5 blocks, the businesses are more oriented toward the townspeople, including the post office, City Hall, the hardware store, and the island's only supermarket. Once we cross Cottage Street, we're into the last block of Main Street before the waterfront. Across the street is the town's only bookstore, which is open all year. Back on this side of the street, we have the continuing mix of restaurants, a couple of galleries, and the odd souvenir shop. As you can see, right now it looks like none of the restaurants are open. So it's very quiet here as we walk down the last block until we get to the Bar Harbor waterfront, where we will find one more street that has some businesses. Half a block from the waterfront here on Main Street is Agamont Park, which is a nice little grassy knoll that slopes right down to the water. Just past Agamont Park there is the town dock. As I said, restaurants and souvenir shops. I think there may be one of these restaurants open, but there are very few restaurants open this time of year. In the summer, Bar Harbor has something like 80 restaurants, so there's tons of variety here in the summer, but in the winter it's very, very limited. I'm down at the end of Main Street looking across the harbor. That's Bar Island over there, which you can see is connected to the mainland by a rocky causeway at low tide. At high tide, the causeway is submerged. If we look up the waterfront street, which is West Street, we'll see a lot of hotels and some more businesses, a couple of restaurants, but they end in about a block, and then you get into residential. And here is looking back up Main Street from the waterfront. I'm down now at the town dock, looking out over Frenchman Bay. You can see all the moorings, which will have boats on them in the summer, and there's only one boat that I can see out there. There's a lobster boat out there. And here's the town dock. You can park here in the summer, although it tends to fill up. That's Agamont Park, looking back toward Main Street. All right, now I'm driving out of downtown on Main Street. And you can see there are a few motels and a few shops, and then the commercial part of Bar Harbor ends. So right now we're 1 block past the main part of downtown and heading out. And all these side streets, like this, are completely residential. So Here we go. More restaurants. The hills that you can see in the distance are all in Acadia National Park. We're going to go down a side street to show you what some of the residential areas look like. The houses in this part of town are pretty close together and aren't particularly grand. We're headed toward the waterfront though, and as we get closer, the houses will get much more elaborate. This building here is the Mount Desert Island Hospital. Although it doesn't look like it, it's actually quite a modern facility, and we'll continue past the hospital down toward the waterfront, which isn't very far here. And we can't go all the way because we run into private property and the road ends. You can see the homes are getting a little bit more grand, although still nothing particularly spectacular until we get right down to the end. And this road actually turns into a path that goes out to the shore path, which goes right along the water. And we'll turn here and head out. So here we're on the back side of some of the waterfront estates. They're down there a ways. They tend to have pretty good sized properties and you can't really see them from here, but that's what's down there. And we'll go up here and head back over to Main Street. And this area here is someone's estate. It's all fenced off and you can't see the house. It's a huge property though. And more homes up here. As we go up to Main Street. So that's Bar Harbor. I hope you enjoyed my short tour of Bar Harbor. If you did, give me a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't to see more videos like this and on other topics, not just Mount Desert Island. So, thanks for watching.